Hi, Dumpster Divas. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And today, we're doing something a little different. I've been looking forward to this for so long. I am joined by one of my nearest and dearest from the podcast and internet world that Kix and I created back in 2020. And that is Chelsea of Oh No Chels. Follow her at Oh No Chels. And make sure to check out I Am the Cute One podcast everywhere you get podcasts. Chelsea, welcome.
Hi, I'm so excited.
Yes,
for
so
today.
guys, we're not going to talk about reality TV today.
Mm-mm.
We're not going to talk about nostalgia movies today.
Mm-mm.
We're going to talk about fairies fucking.
Fucking with their fairy pussies.
Fairy bussies. So before we get into it, a couple housekeeping things. So there will be an episode unpacking Bravo that comes out this weekend. So don't, if you're like, God damn it, like I will talk about
The fairy porn cult got another one.
I know we will talk about Kenya. We will talk about Summer House. We will talk about all those things. So doing YouTube live tonight that I'll release as audio. So that'll be where you get your Bravo stuff. And then also for this chat, we're talking about two of Sarah Mass's stories. So that's Throne of Glass and then also ACOTAR. And then we will also be talking about the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. The beginning of this chat, I just want to give you guys an opportunity. We'll be lightly spoiler free. And then we'll get into some really heavy spoilers as we venture on. So if you're like interested in diving into the world of romantasy, hang for just a little bit and then we can give you like an out to leave if things get a little too spoilery. Does that sound good, Chelsea?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Because there's so much to talk about that doesn't have to be spoilery. But
Yeah.
I want to start though with like just like reading. Like it's kind of one of the oldest forms of entertainment.
It is. Reading. Who knew?
Who knew? You know, and you're like me, Chelsea, I believe, where we hyperfixate.
No, not us. No, I am somebody that when I am in on something, I am all in. And I do think that it might be frustrating for my friends, family, people that follow me on social media, because I do go through phases where a specific thing is all I talk about. And then one day, poof, I'm on to the next thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, you do a good job of balancing it. Like you're talking about putting out a Bravo show later.
Uh-huh.
I just got into fairy porn and stopped watching television. So the last like year of my life has literally been spent reading.
Yeah, you do dive a little bit more headfirst in than I do, but I will say my balance. I'm not turning on the TV as much these days.
Which isn't the worst thing.
Which isn't the worst, and I think that first of all, Chelsea, you got me into the fairy porn.
I know. I'm so pleased. My peer pressure finally paid off. When you said that you were about to read A Court of Thorns and Roses, that was the one that I was like, mwahaha, the transition has been complete.
Yeah, so I think I've missed this. Above your head, there are titties. I just saw. I don't know if my mind is on sex, but like,
and there's an ass over here too.
Oh yes, there you go. Mm-hmm. I'm like can't stop thinking about fairies fucking. No, I like ebb and flow with reading. Like I'll really dive into a series fully, and then I will not read again for like months on end. But I read my journey with this genre of like romantasy. I read Fourth Wing, I think like maybe 6 months after it came out, like probably like early. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I read Fourth Wing right before Iron Flame came out. So I was able to read them both back to back.
Okay.
And then I texted you immediately after I read that because I was like, because you're a big Harry Potter fan. And I'm like, it's very like Harry Potter school world meets like, I think what I anticipated the ACOTAR world would be like.
Yeah.
And then I dove into the Sarah Mass of it all. But what's like your sequential order in the genre?
So I was always a huge reader when I was a kid. I was the type of kid that back in the day, before we knew how ADHD presented in girls, my parents were like, always so frustrated because when I read a book, I just like the rest of the world didn't exist. I used to literally sneak books into the shower and read as the
That's so
shower was running
cute.
because like then nobody could tell me to stop reading. Now my oldest daughter, I'll catch her with like a flashlight under covers like in the middle of the night and I'm like I can't even get mad at this cuz number
You
1,
can't.
she's reading and number 2, like that was me as a kid.
I know there's something about reading where it's like I hate when people are talk down on like the types of genres you read, like the fact that we're
Yeah.
reading this like smutty like fantasy world. It's like, y'all, I'm reading. Like
Yeah.
like it's
We're
great for your
expanding our
brain.
imagination. Also, all of these fantasy realms, like, yes, it's a little porny, but also it talks about bigger things of like social justice issues and taking down people in power
Yeah.
and all of that. But so anyway, so I was a big reader and then I had kids and my brain turned to mush and I really wanted to get back into reading. And I saw that everybody was talking about the Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Hmm.
And so I think actually it was like this time last year, which is crazy that I went from reading like 0 books a year to now I've read like 20 books in a year.
Yeah.
But I think it was like March of last year. I started with the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I read that all the way through. Also, I say read, people get really mad. I do listen to Audible. I think it counts. And I think it's ableist to say that it doesn't count. So there. But anyway, so I read that
I
series.
I see both sides of it, to be honest. I agree that it is reading because you're like the story is there.
Consuming it.
Kix
Yeah.
gets mad at me though because I'll be like, wait, did you do you have the book or did you listen to it? Only because this is my only thing is because
Uh-huh.
for me, I understand so much less when I listen than when I read it. Like,
So I am
and I because
such
she's the opposite.
yes, that's how I am. I'm such an auditory person. Like I can remember exactly like where I was when I heard something or where
Yeah.
I was when I read a chapter. I'm also somebody that I'm always multitasking. So if I'm like doing chores or if I'm doing laundry or if I'm painting a room, like
Hmm.
I need to have something playing. But yeah, I mean, I see both sides of it too, but I also think that I just like wouldn't be capable of sitting down and reading a book with, especially with the girls running around. Like,
No, I can't imagine that.
Audible like allows me to participate in my life and still consume this. But so I went from A Court of Thorns and Roses series, then I went to Throne of Glass,
Hmm.
but then I was going to the beach and I wanted to have a physical copy of the book and the library didn't have whatever Throne of Glass book I was on. So I
Hmm.
switched over to Crescent City, which I want to talk to you about at some point.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then I went back to Throne of Glass. Then the last book that I've read, you got me onto Fourth Wing. And I'm so happy that I didn't start with that because that's my absolute favorite. I felt like everything had
Really?
led me to Fourth Wing.
That's so interesting because for me, after reading the Sarah J. Maas universe, I'm not sure that I like the Empyrean series that much anymore.
What?
Yeah,
That's so crazy.
for me, here's my big critique of like not to pin women against each other, but
But let's do it.
let's do it. Um, for me, I feel that I know there are only so many ideas like out in the world. Like there are only so many tropes like and so it's hard to be creative with things but there's some aspects of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame and Onyx Storm that feel so like of the Sarah Maas universe that like
Yeah.
there's just a lot of things that are so similar. When I was reading Throne of Glass I was like, wait, like just like the way magic works and the bonding and the mates and the this and the that and I'm like, wait, there's so much here. But then I'm like, you know what, I'm new to this genre and I bet you there are so many other books from different people that are equally as um repetitive in terms of like fantasy tropes. So I'm
Yeah.
sure it's just my newness to the genre, but with
I
Rebecca,
have seen that criticism
yeah,
before. Like I have seen people comparing, and I'm also new to this genre too. So I do think that there are probably like archetypes and tropes that weave their way through any fantasy series.
yeah,
But I almost like the way that Rebecca Yarros does it more because I almost feel like she has more of a grasp on the world she's building. Like,
Hmm.
it seems more consistent. It seems like there's more consistent rules. I like there to be like a set of rules when you're world building, and I feel like she does that really well. We'll talk about the differences and how they like treat characters later on in the like spoilers section,
Yes.
but I also feel like I just like the I just like the main characters that Rebecca
That's
writes more.
so
I think that Sarah Maas
interesting.
has a specific knack for writing the most insufferable main characters.
Talk about women pinning women against women. Sarah Maas versus the characters she writes. Like she hates
Oh
them.
my
I think she hates the
God.
women she writes
I think she
sometimes.
does too. At least I do. If she doesn't hate them, she sure makes them easy to hate.
Yeah, like I, I'm sure someone listening is like, no, they're complicated. Women can be complicated characters too. Okay, and I'm like, yeah, no, I know, but
Yeah,
they
but
just
women can
make
also be dumb bitches who are annoying as hell.
in God, everyone is so digmatized. It's crazy.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
honestly, Violet is so digmatized too. But my here, but the for those who are like maybe gonna dive into any of these series like that you haven't read, the where I found like the biggest difference between I'm gonna put Throne of Glass and ACOTAR together, and then I'll put Empyrean together. And a reminder, I've only read the first two ACOTARs, so I'm on the
Okay,
third right now.
remind me like oh, well you can't.
We'll
When
get
we
there.
get
We'll
to
get there. We'll
spoilers,
get there
remind me
later.
because I don't want to spoil you
Yeah, I
by
think I
talking about
kind
the
of
whole series.
generally know everything that's gonna happen because I saw things, but it's fine. We'll get to it.
Okay.
I find when the Empyrean series sometimes is so dialogue heavy, like Violet kind of talks a lot about like what's happening. Like she acknowledges what's
Mm,
happening. I don't think there's as much like besides like dream sequences which happen later on, like there's not as much like pages and pages of like world building like exposition. And then
yeah.
then the mass verse to me is so heavy on world building exposition and like a little bit lighter on like back and forth dialogue. And I actually think
Yeah.
I after reading these two, I like the my favorite part of Throne of Glass was when the world really opened up. And then like
Yeah.
I feel like in the Empyrean series, like Rebecca has she tried to open it up in this last book, but like
Mhm.
I wish we had gone further with it.
Yes, I will agree with that. I'm like trying to speak in code. I loved when they went outside of where we had known them to be in the latest book. But I felt the same way where I was like, I could have spent a whole book at each of the places that they went in that journey.
Yeah.
But I also think that, I don't know, and maybe it's just because Rebecca has more of a zoomed in lens of what she's covering. And Throne of Glass, my God, we really went everywhere. I
Crazy.
feel like sometimes she loses
She
control
lost
of the
me at the end of
train.
Throne of Glass a bit.
And the pacing always kills me with Sarah Moss too. Of it's like we are going and going and going, and then we get to the last chapter, and it's like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Okay, bye. It's like, wait, how did we even get here?
Yeah. I she loves Throne of Glass. Her favorite thing to do is be like, "Oh, by the way, like I did fix and solve all those things. You just didn't see it happen."
Yeah.
And you're like,
Like I've been
"Wait."
plotting behind the scenes, and don't worry about that
You're
anymore.
like, "Wait. You did all these things. Like I feel like I've been with you for every fucking second of you walking around this world, but somehow you had time to do X, Y, and Z." Yeah.
Yeah. You know how they say, like, you have the same number of hours in the day as Beyonce? It's like the main characters of Throne of Glass have significantly more hours, actually.
1000%. But you know what? I'm not convinced they live on the same linear time that we do.
It's fair.
Yeah. Um so generally just so you guys know what everything's about. Throne of Glass is about this assassin. Her name is Selena, or Selena. I don't know how people say it, but and she gets taken out of prison by the prince and gets thrown into this competition, kind of a la Hunger Games, where
Mhm.
everyone is vying to become the king's, what is it? The
I
king's
think the king's
blade
assassin or
assassin?
the
Yeah.
king's blade.
Yeah, something like that. And so the first book is just about the competition, but then also her learning more about like the glass castle where the king lives and kind of what's happening in the world. Also, it's a world where the where magic has been eliminated,
Yeah, like banished.
banished, yeah. And that starts to unfold. So that's what that's about. And then ACOTAR, I'm trying to think of how I should say it. It's hard to not spoil these things. We're about to venture past spoiler territory, but I just want
Yeah.
to give everyone a heads up on what everything's about so they know maybe which series to do. ACOTAR, I'm trying to think of how to explain it, is about a
There's a
family down
realm.
on their luck.
Yeah, there's like a realm of humans and a realm of magic beings.
Yes.
And the first book is Horny Beauty and the Beast. And you learn more and more about the realms
Yes.
and how
And the
they
relationship between humans
coexist.
and fays.
Hmm.
And then the Empyrean series, so it's Fourth Wing and all of them, is about a school for dragon riders. So
Yeah. I would say that if you haven't read for a while, or if you are like a beach read girly, I would go the route I went and start with ACOTAR
I
and
agree.
then kind of work your way through. If you're somebody that already has fantasy experience, I think Throne of Glass is the most like fleshed out world building.
Hmm.
And if you are somewhere in between, I would start with Fourth Wing.
I think that's a great guide. Okay, we are going to venture into spoiler territory. So, guys, if you have not read these books, or if you don't care, or if you have not read these books, you should leave. If you have, stay, and if you haven't and don't care, also stay. But just know that we are going to just say everything happening
So
plot
don't yell
wise.
at
The
us. We
characters.
warned you.
Do not yell. Spoilers are happening in 3, 2, 1. Wait, so I as far as I've gotten in ACOTAR, so I read ACOMAF, a Court of Mist and Fury, in like
Okay.
4.5 days. I
It's so,
flew
is
through
that
it.
the second one?
Yes.
Yes, that one was so good. Where she like goes
I
undercover and all that.
I love and honestly the first book too, I was so surprised. I was surprised at how much I loved it because I thought it was going to be so romance heavy, but
Hmm.
the whole end of ACOTAR where she goes under the mountain and then she dies and she becomes this like um higher than high fae, just like this entity almost she's a
Hmm.
god,
Yeah.
and that's so cool of her to of Sarah Maas to do because like it gives the world endless amounts of like material. And
Yeah.
is it Farah or Feyre?
Feyre, ugh, the bane of my
Yeah,
existence.
Feyre. She kind of sucks, but her powers of all the characters to me are the cuntiest.
Her powers are awesome. I was very much I so when I first started reading it, I had heard it was a romance and we met Tamlin and I was like, maybe I'm just not into it. Like I just don't really see it for this guy.
Hmm.
And then the second we met Reese, I was like, oh, Reese, right?
Yeah.
Reese
Hmm.
Sand.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I'm all in on this. And Feyre, though, it's just like get that girl a Joanne Fabrics sponsorship. I get it. You like to paint.
The
Just shut up
painting.
about the paint.
The painting. The painting. Will you please stop painting?
And I don't know what it is about the way that she describes her paintings and the way that people later on react to her paintings. But I really do, you know, the scene in Not Another Teen Movie where she's painting
Yep.
and then it's just like a stick figure.
Yes.
That is how I imagine Feyre to be. Like, I don't believe that she's a good painter. I think she's just surrounded herself with yes people.
I completely agree. And I know you're sitting in front of your children's artwork, but I think painting, unless you're really good, I think painting
Yes.
becomes incredibly corny after a certain age.
Yes, and it's fine. We don't all need to have a side hustle. If you're doing it just for the love of the game, that's great. But stop talking about it.
Please, it's exhausting to me. Yeah, I agree. She can't. There's no way she's good. And then also, did you see what was going the like video that's been going around the socials of the woman at the church doing this like Trump painting
No.
service?
No.
Okay, I'll send it to you. It is LOL funny. Essentially they're playing this like huge like religious like hymn, and everyone in the
Okay.
congregation is singing along. While they sing, she like very dramatically just starts, the canvas is the canvas is blank, and she just starts like throwing paint at it, and then she just draw here, draw here, draw here, and after like 10 minutes she's painted this picture of Donald Trump holding a cross.
Is it a good painting?
It's not, I mean, he's in
It's
it, so I
more
don't
the
like it.
flourish. It's more the flourish in which she does it.
Yeah. Are you on Threads? I posted it on my Threads.
Okay. I have to re-download Threads.
Here.
You know my plate with my phone with the button. It has a crack on it too.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It is I do have to delete an app to download an app. That's the game that I play
Can you
each
see
day.
this if I show? No, because oh, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
So see all these people, and then
Oh,
it's
they're
gonna
loving
cut.
it.
Wait, it's gonna cut to her. Look, she's throwing paint.
Oh, so she's the main attraction.
Yeah, she's fully Feyre throwing paint in the salon while Tamlin stares longingly. And then the
my
final
God.
image, I'll text it to you. It is so disturbing. Guys, go look it up. Follow me on
Have
Threads.
you? I'm trying to. I really don't want to spoil it but I can't keep it straight. Has she gone to Rhysand's like cottage yet? Like his side house?
We went to the house in the mountains at one point when they were like recovering from something, and they fucked a lot there.
Okay, but she hasn't been there like by herself.
No.
Okay, when you get
Yes,
to the
yes. Where she
Okay.
paints every room.
She paints the walls. Tom, she paints the walls. This is what I can't stand about Feyre. So Feyre is in a fight with Rhys because she's just discovered that she is Rhys's mate, or
Yes.
Rhys loves
I didn't
her, or
understand
whatever.
that because like, why are you so mad that you're his mate? He's like this hot as fuck, like dark fae.
He's like literally the epitome of a bad boy. He is Jess from Gilmore Girls. Like
Right,
he's an
but
asshole
nice.
to everybody but you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's so upset that this guy is her mate. And so what does she do to show that she's a strong, independent woman? She goes to her boyfriend's house and then starts fucking painting on the walls. I'm like, Feyre, baby girl, you aren't going to get that security deposit money back. This is not your home.
No.
We do not just paint on the walls. Also, we know there are canvases there. There is canvas and paint there from like before. So why are you painting on the walls, bitch?
I just picture Rhys walking in and be like, my baby is so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like the dog with the 4 stick legs, just like walking up like a hill and walking down a hill. Like that's like what she's done in the living room. Like you can wait. Oh my God. I just had a sense memory moment. So I have an ex friend.
Okay.
There's no way that they listen to this.
If
That
they do, shout out.
if they
5
do,
stars,
well, I'm about
please.
to tell some things about your home. They lived in the city. Well, they still live in the city. And one day they were like, I want to paint the apartment, like the whole apartment, but not just paint. Like I want to invite people over to all paint something on the wall. And so he had all of these people come over and paint, and his home, it literally is like what we're describing. There were like hills and then a rainbow and then like this. And then it was like everyone would paint like a little stick figure or like a dog, like all over the living room.
No.
This is an adult male in New York City.
It's like a nursery, but
It looked like a nursery, but like a little drugged out.
like if the children took some Adderall and got to work.
Adderall was definitely at play with some of the drama. It is so disturbing. Like you go in there and you're like, is it safe to be here? I don't know.
Oh no.
Shout out. I just
Yeah.
forgot about that until now. But yeah,
Imagine being a member of the night court and being like, oh God, she's been in that room painting. Everybody put on your smiles. Get ready to tell her how good it looks.
also the home must smell crazy like paint. Like she painted the whole inside of the interior of a home. It has to be toxic in there.
Yeah, no wonder her powers are so crazy. She's huffing paint from sunup to sundown.
Now, something that you put on, I did a quick kind of look through. I've been going to your highlights as I finish things to see like what
Yeah.
you thought about stuff. Something that comes up so much only in ACOTAR, but like in the first book, and then not in any other series, it bothers me so much, and it's something that we got to talk about. She references her watery bowels like a lot in the first book.
So much. That bitch has never had a solid poop in her life.
Okay, but here's my issue with it is like we kind of live in this pretend universe where no one pisses and shits. Like like because no one wants to read about them like going to the bathroom. But then but then she like shows us that she has watery bowels. So it's like, well, are we gonna kind of like learn more about the fact that you piss and shit, or are we just like never gonna revisit that?
Right. It's very akin to like, we're not talking about any bodily functions and then me being like, well, and I shit blood yesterday. Anyway, I'm going to go to Target later today. And it's like, well,
Right.
let's like circle back to the blood in your poop.
So weird. I'm like, I don't know why you needed to throw that in the mix there because I I kind of gathered she was nervous. Like I don't need that like description.
Right. Or like my heart fell into my stomach. Certainly there could be oh, like I'm feeling worried about this, but no, just watery bowels. But
Watery
Sarah J.
bowels.
Maas is in desperate need of a thesaurus because she finds a phrase and she will keep it up.
Yeah. There's a phrase
She loves Throne of Glass, a preternatural wind, as if on a preternatural wind. She loves that. Like if somebody's floating over.
See, I think this is where the audiobook versus reading comes into play because you hear
'Cause I'm
that
hearing
person
it.
say it over and over again. Also, her audiobooks, I've listened to some of I did some Kingdom of Ash audiobook. I also did some um ACOTAR audiobook like while I was reading cuz just to get me through certain chapters. I can't stand some of these people. I mean, Love and Light. I know it's an art that I actually know people that do read audiobooks, but like
Sometimes you
these,
wonder, how did you get the gig?
it's so crazy. Like they sound. Now, have you ever listened to the dramatized? How do you say that? Dram-
Dramatized
Dramatized.
ones.
Yeah.
On accident, I did.
And
Yeah.
it was bad.
It was way too intense for me because the dramatized versions, they have sound effects. So like so the dramatized version, it's different voices, but it's also, it's like you're listening to a movie.
Yeah.
So there's sound effects. So if you're in a battle scene, there's like ching, ching, ching of like swords in the background. If there's fucking, all of a sudden you hear in the
No.
background. Yes, like it is fucking crazy. So I understand why people listen to it if they're bothered by the AI bot adjacent voice of the usual one.
Yeah.
But it was like sensory overload. I could not do it.
Wait. So your mind's gonna be blown. A friend of mine in Queens used to fuck the guy who voices Tamlin.
I love that.
I mean, let's talk about Tamlin. Tamlin, I can't stand that diva. So misogynistic, and I hate myself because in the beginning, I don't know about you, but in ACOTAR, when it starts, you're kind of here for it, like a
I
little bit.
hated him from the
You
beginning.
did. See, I think
Yeah.
it's my like instilled misogyny where I just like kind of thought this was, and maybe it's because I'm not straight that I was like, oh, I guess this is just how straight couples work. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't like
I
think
think
to
also
myself
that's
like,
my internalized misandry where my baseline is I'm going to hate a man until he proves otherwise to me.
yeah,
So I was looking at him sideways cuz I was like, first of all, you're 200 years old. This girl is 19 at the most. Second of all, like you're going after, I don't know, it just felt very predatory from the beginning. But again, I was like, I think I'm supposed to be into this, but I'm really not feeling it. And then so quickly.
why is it always the girls in these books too are young and they're dating these like older men that
Hundreds of years older than them. I'm like, I know that, the Fae have great Botox and wrinkle cream, but like this man is objectively could be your great grandfather.
yeah, I struggle to understand why I understand there is something like fun to the idea of like falling in love with someone who will never age and they will age. The stakes are so high there, like it makes for a good story. I do get that, but yeah, the idea of being 200 years old and falling for a 19-year-old is really disturbing.
Yeah, like no offense, love and light to Gen Z, but I don't want to have a night out with a 19-year-old, let alone mate with them.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. But if Reese is Jess from Gilmore Girls, Tamlin is like the Logan figure, where I do think that he's getting there slowly, but he's just such a fixture of the establishment that he didn't even know he could go against it, you know?
Yeah. But he like sold her out. Like at the end of
Yeah.
ACOMAF, like he's when he shows up to that was a gag for me. That
When he showed
he
up.
yeah, when he showed up in the end. I sadly did know that Nesta and Elaine, is that her name? Elaine?
Yeah. Who knows?
Elaine
Give
versus
us
Nesta is
nothing,
so
girl.
weird.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly the last book will be Elaine's POV or
Yeah.
the sixth one.
The newest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um no, but I did know that because I was like looking up fan art of
Ugh, I
everyone.
hate that.
I
It
did
spoiled it.
see like that they get powers. So I was like, oh, we are barreling towards something. So I didn't know that they were gonna like get thrown into that bath and then become fierce. But
Uh-huh. There is on Reddit, there is a thread of non-spoiler fan art for like every
oh, I need to look at
book.
that.
Yeah.
I
Because I
just
did
like
the
to
same thing at
visualize
first.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
But it's so hard to, you Google like whatever fan art, and then it's always like whatever is the most crucial spoiler worthy scene. It's
yeah,
like,
like
oh,
someone with a
well,
knife in their heart, like dead. You're
yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
well, okay.
Well, okay. So I see it now.
So in ACOTAR, who who horns you up? Who do you love? Who are you like? Please, please, next chapter. Like, what characters? What's your like general like character like layout with everyone?
So Cassian, and you have not gotten
I haven't
the
gotten to. I do know that Cassian and um, Nesta will end up being together. I do know this. I just don't know how we
okay.
get there.
Okay. The thing about this series in particular, it is a little bit of the like boiling frog phenomenon of like if you put a frog in like lukewarm water and then you slowly crank up the stove, they'll boil to death because they don't realize it's getting hotter. All of a sudden with these books, you
I've
will be
never heard that
reading.
theory.
I didn't make it up. It's a real thing, I swear.
They don't recognize that the water is hot.
Well, like, so if you have boiling water, I don't know why it's such a graphic one, but it works. But if you have a pot of boiling water and you throw a frog in, the frog's going to jump out. It's hot as shit. Like, they're like, ow, that burned me.
Yep.
But if you put a frog in regular water and then you slowly crank up the stove, they're going to boil to death because they don't notice that it's getting hotter and hotter.
Okay, I've never heard that, but that is a good analogy. I understand what it means, like in this
Yeah.
context.
But so with the fairy porn of it all, it starts out slow, and then there will come a point where you are reading and you're like, oh, this is like full on porn. And Nesta and Cassian really did something to me.
They did really.
Oh
See,
yeah,
I
watery
saw.
bowels, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, Chelsea, we know you got watery bowels. No, I saw someone post like the chapters that have sex in it somewhere, like on Reddit, and it like breaks it down for each book. And I saw that in book 5, it's like 30 chapters.
Yeah, and it's like we went from like a fade to black type of situation, like, oh, we started kissing dot 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 next chapter. It goes from that to like full on I felt his dick in my cervix because he was so big.
Yeah, I've heard
Type
he's
of
got a big
talk.
dick. That has been
Big
revealed.
old dick.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
it is. I'm picturing you listening to that while you're like cleaning up the girls' toys.
Well, sometimes I listen to it in the car and I realize because my car is a piece of shit. And so, like, you really have to crank the radio to be able to hear over the just general baseline hum of the engine. And so I'll be like at a red light and I like look next to me. And I'm like, oh, I'm like blasting porn right
Yeah,
now.
you're like, he came on my tits, he came inside me, he came on the walls, and then Feyre
I
came and painted
painted.
with the thumb.
Yeah. Then I thought, wow, what a beautiful color. I must paint it.
Something about also back to painting. Do you know that painting has is a term in gay sex?
No, please tell me.
Okay, so I can't help but think about this every time that you talk about painting because the book is so sexual, I automatically go here. Painting is when Painting is when a bottom doesn't appropriately clean themselves and
Okay.
they get their shit on the top. And so they'll be like,
Oh.
"Did you paint him?" Or like, "They painted me," meaning like he got shit
He
all
got a
over me.
little like,
No,
he was like
painting isn't like a little. Painting is like the middle ground of like, "Oh, he fully shit on me." Like it's not.
like blue man group, but poop
Yes, like my
because you
dick
didn't.
has like streaks of like shit on it.
I love that. It would be the same if Feyre was really into jazz singing and was just talking about how she was scatting all the time.
Scatting. Chelsea, your mind works in mysterious ways. Wait, so you love Cassie and you love. Do you love Nesta?
I
Any of the
Nesta is my
girls?
favorite
Yes,
character.
I've heard this too.
She's
I haven't really
very
gotten to her
polarizing.
stuff yet.
She's very, very polarizing, and I think you're either a Nesta girly or you're not because you either get her or you don't. But I very much resonate with her as we learn more.
Hmm.
I love all of the Night Court,
Me
honestly.
too.
I love
Yeah.
all of them. I'm interested to hear what you think of Rhysand's trajectory because where you were in the series, I was obsessed with him, but he pisses me off later. And I don't think that's a popular take.
Okay, interesting.
I turn on him later, but I don't think a
So
lot of the
I just
readers
got
do.
to the part in A Court of Wings and uh, what is I forget ACOTAR, whatever. I can't remember what the other
Uh-huh.
part of it is, but where she just killed those little prince and princess fuckers out in the snow, and then
Uh-huh.
put Ianthe out in the cave somewhere, and then she got back to the Night Court. So she's just been reunited with Rhys, and they just fucked for the first time in like a month. But
Which,
so
yeah.
nothing bad really has happened with him yet. But
Yeah.
I will say over all of these books, for me, he is the first male character, to give me the Fanny flaws.
Oh, okay.
I, for me, I'm sorry, y'all. I cannot stand some of the men in Throne of Glass. Most like I root
Yeah.
for Dorian, like I love him, and Rowan is like badass, but like none of them are like sexual beings to me. Like they just don't.
No.
They're and Kale, who I call Carol, I can't. I find him to be so unsexy. I feel like he does not know how to fuck.
No, because he doesn't know how to do
Well,
anything.
and he can't walk. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. He can't walk, but people who can't walk can fuck.
No, but just like the way he blunders through life and it takes him like so long to learn any lesson. I just know that that is a man I would be trying to show where my clit is for years.
Years.
Like and he would earnestly be trying, which would be almost worse because then I'm like, well, he's trying. Like he
Yeah.
wants to make me come. He's just literally like he just can't, you know?
Yeah. I really so Reese for me right now is a breakout star
Okay.
of the book, and I do like Feyre. She is a little whiny, kind of annoys me with that sometimes, but her powers are cool. But I love what's her name? Not More, the other woman in the Night Court. I'm forgetting her name all of a sudden.
Starts with an A. Amryn.
Amryn. Love Amryn. And because we also still don't totally know everything about Amryn yet. Like
Yeah.
it's yet to be revealed. They always we learned that she was like imprisoned for like 1,000 years essentially. Like and she
Yeah.
is of like a different she's eras and eras behind this timeline we're living in. Like she's been alive forever. So she kind of knows everything. And we at the end of Akamef, we got a lot of her. She got a little cunty and did some stuff and like worked her magic, but we still have yet to fully know what she is.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to kind of figure that out. So I like her a lot. And what's I really like? I don't care for Tamlin. I do like what's his face? Tamlin's sidekick. Um
Oh, the redhead.
yeah, who's mated to Elaine.
Lucian.
Lucian. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out, but my favorite, the one that Reese gets me horned up, but the character that I find to be horny but also so sweet is Azriel.
Yeah.
I really like him. He just seems like such a
Yeah.
nice person, but he's like he's like this like dark, strong figure, but like has the biggest heart. I don't know. I'm like, what? I just want good things for him.
Yeah, he's like the kid that's like in the popular group, but you don't know anything about him, but there's like something mysterious about him, and he probably could get all of the girls if he
Hmm.
just like talked, but instead he's just always playing football or something.
Yeah.
Like he's that type of kid.
Yeah, and for me, the Night Court in general too, like, is so much stronger than the Queen's Court in Throne of Glass.
Yeah. Again, Throne of Glass, it's like I loved the idea of Throne of Glass. And I think that typically Throne of Glass is like everybody's favorite. And I liked it, but I just felt like there were such big ideas and the characters, there were some characters that were like so fleshed out and so nuanced and like all over the place in a great way. And then there were some characters that were just like so, like such duds.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
So let's talk with Throne of Glass a little bit. So, and we'll be quick on here because I know you want to talk Empyrean the most of all. So,
Mhm.
um, with Throne of Glass, like, it is an 8-book series, seven, and like it's like 7.5 books.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, I really liked it. I've obviously really liked it. I flew through it in like 2.5 months, like all of them. I've never read
Yeah.
so fast ever. I was just obsessed with the world, but
Yeah.
I do think that it's crazy to me that she wrote those first 2.5 books of they're not even slow. They're just like a completely different thing. And then the world just kind of blows up and all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's massive and it feels like there's no massive. Oh my god, it feels like
But bum.
there's no transition. Like it's not a slow burn to the world becoming big. It's like we go from having 3 characters to quite literally having 30.
Yeah, and like all of their points of views too.
Yeah, and the first
Yeah.
book is only in her point of view, in Selena's point of view, and then slash Aelin. I will say the twist that has gagged me out of everything I I did kind of see it coming that Selena was Aelin, but I do think that is a gag. Like
Yeah.
objectively, when if only 2 books had come out, like at the end of that second book, learning that she is her,
Yeah.
that is a gag.
Yeah, no, that was a huge twist that I usually will see things coming, and I knew obviously there was something, like the way
Right.
that it was
And the
hinted
way they
about or
talked about
whatever.
Aelin, it was like she has to be I was like, I think she is someone we know. Like I was like because like
Mhm.
there's no way she's just hiding somewhere.
Yeah, and I feel so bad for the people that read the Assassin's Blade, like that book of short stories first,
Yeah.
because then they know that already.
Oh,
It's
really?
like it's revealed, like you know that she
Oh, right, because she
is
talks about her Fey ears and things like that in it.
right. And
Yeah.
so it like that I just think that that's such a special part of the series of when you have that like, "Oh shit." Like this is going to be much bigger. Like that's the sense I got when that happened of like, "Oh, we're going places." Because the first book truly is like you said, like very Hunger Games, very much like we're confined to this glass castle area. And then all of a sudden, yeah, it's like and now we're going to triple that. And
Yeah.
now we're going to triple it again.
Yeah. I do. I was like looking online and I want to hear your thoughts about this too. A lot of people, Air of Fire, which is the third one, is so polarizing for a lot of people. Some people like hate it and didn't finish it and then never finished the series or like, and some people just think it's the low point of the series. For me, it was like it got me hooked on the series. Like I was like this, I think it's probably my second favorite of all of the books in Throne of Glass. What were
I
your
felt
favorites?
I felt the same way. I loved that one. I actually also loved the Tower of Dawn.
Hmm.
Is that? I did the tandem read of
Yeah, me
those
too.
2 books,
Yeah.
and I
For those
think
that don't
that
know, you can read the 6th and 7th book happen, or sorry, the 5th and 6th book happen simultaneously.
yeah, so you can read them. There's like guides online, which are insane to look at. Like whenever I was posting it or whenever I was like crossing it out, I'm like, this is unhinged that I'm doing
And
this.
you're reading like 1,500 pages as one book,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad I did that because I do think that I wouldn't have enjoyed that book as much had I read them in order,
Mhm.
just because it's taking place in the same timeline. And so you kind of would have already known things, and then we're going back in time. So, but I really liked that one because of, again, the world building, and we got to learn that whole other side of like the continent or whatever.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I liked all of it. I honestly, this is kind of weird to say, but the last book I felt like was one of the weakest. Like I kind
I
of,
agree. I had to
again, it's the
audiobook some of
pacing.
it to get through it.
It's the pacing because it's like we have this incredible story, and then it's like, and we're wrapping up. So now it's done.
And for me, the war was just so much war to get through. Like there's a lot of battling that happens before we get to the battle that actually means anything. So by the time you get to the last battle that actually means something, you're kind of all warred out. And
Yeah.
like I was like, when I realized that like we were barreling towards like that the last battle, I was like, wait, this is the battle. I'm like so over reading about them fighting. Like I like the more like I like the battles, but I also prefer the like inner workings, the like gameplay, the twists, the
Yeah.
magic. Like that's more, which I think is why I'm really liking ACOTAR, because it's not as like um large scale like final boss battle heavy. But I
It's
will say
almost like it's
Maeve to
about
me is great. Is a great villain.
great villain. Yeah. And I think that, yeah, I agree. Cause I like more of the like politicking
Yes,
behind
me
the
too.
scenes.
It's
Like
more
I
interesting
like
to
the,
read.
yeah, I like the like chess pieces moving behind the scenes of like, okay, yeah, let's do this battle over here rather than it's kind of how I feel about like any like Marvel movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I know that if I see a Marvel movie in theaters, oh, it's a battle scene. This is when I can go take a bathroom break. I'll come back. Oh, they're still fighting. Great.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It just doesn't interest me as much as like the interpersonal relationship. So,
Yeah.
but I want
I
to.
think
Oh, go
also
ahead.
I think also the thing, and we've talked about this too, is the thing that drives me crazy about Sarah Moss is that the way that she does not kill
It's
characters
crazy.
is actually it actually takes me out of it. And not that I'm like rooting for people to die, but I know that if somebody is in an inner circle, they are not going to die.
Mhm.
Like if they're tangential to the inner circle, they probably will die because she's got to kill somebody. But the way that she just refuses to kill people and then actually takes it a step further and will like bring people back from the dead almost, it just makes the stakes seem nonsensical because I'm never actually terrified. Whereas like Fourth Wing, I'm terrified every page. Who knows who
People
she's going to
die in
kill
that.
off?
Yeah, my biggest frustration, the death that should have happened in Throne of Glass for me was the battle where Lorcan went out and like got
Yes.
slaughtered, and then Alide was like, I can't survive without him, and so she goes out. It would have been so much better if Alide had died with Lorcan, and then that part of the story would have been done, and like they would
Hmm.
have had to forge ahead without them. But
Hmm.
instead,
Or
Aelin
even if
comes and
she had
saves
even if she
him.
had even if she had lived, but they have that final
Yeah,
moment
I
of
just
Lorcan being like, I now know I'm
yes,
capable of
yes.
love.
And then he falls off the horse, and then she goes to safety, and he dies. Like it,
Right.
it was like that was the moment where I got frustrated with Kingdom of Ash, where I was like, oh, I think there's no stakes in this book.
Right. And you need Dumbledore falling off the tower. You
Right.
need the reveal of Snape. Like you need those moments where you're devastated.
Yeah.
And I will say in the Throne of Glass series, the 13 sacrifice,
That
like
was tough.
that wrecked me.
Me too, but I did see it coming. It was like they're gonna have to do. They mentioned the I forget what it's called when they explode, when the witches explode,
Yeah.
but they mentioned it so much that I was like, we're barreling towards someone doing this for the better good of like the
Yeah.
world. And I just kind of was like, there's no way. I feel like we didn't dive into the 13 like so much. Like we didn't know those characters
Mhm.
besides the first, her second and third, which I forget their names, but
Mhm.
the rest of them we didn't really even know that much. So I was like, they're probably gonna die. They're probably all gonna
Yeah.
die.
But again, they're like tangential to Manon,
Right.
who is one of my favorite characters of
Yeah.
all time.
So
Obsessed.
favorite characters in I love Manon and I love Lysandra, and
Yes.
they're unbelievable. And then
Mhm.
I kind of can't stand Aelin.
That bitch. I would be so frustrated to be her friend because you know that every day she's like, okay, guys, no more lies. I'm going to let you in on everything, except
That I've
I
been
just bought
building
you
an
a
army.
house. Yeah. It's like, she's like, all right, guys, we are equals. We're in on this together. No more secrets. I did make sure that you're pregnant now, and I didn't tell you. It's like she makes choices for other people, and it's like, bitch, you just said we're going to be honest.
Yep. Agreed. Well, oh, and also I want to say my favorite book though of the series was um the Queen of Shadows, isn't that what it's called? The one that here in the background.
Yeah.
I would say that was my favorite because it was less magic heavy and more like
Mm-hmm.
politics. And I just think
Mm-hmm.
that I think the assassin's story is so cool to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, let's get into speaking of when talking about characters that do die. People in Fourth Wing, they do die
Constantly.
constantly. I don't know about you, but I was so taken aback when I picked up Fourth Wing, the first book, and I was like, oh, they're at a school where children just die. Like children.
Yeah.
It was so alarming to me, like that this was just their plot in life to like go to writer's school and essentially a quarter of your class survives.
Yeah. And she did a great job of setting the tone, though, because when they have to do that little boot scoot across
Across,
the
yeah.
parapet or whatever, like literally right away, somebody just falls to their death. And she's like, oh, there one goes. And it's like, oh, okay. So people are going to die in this book.
Like Vanessa Hudgens says, people are gonna
People are going to
die.
die, which is like sad, but inevitable.
Inevitable. Um. So with this for you is like your favorite. So I want to hear a lot more about like why this series like really is jumping to the top of your list.
I think it was so refreshing to have a main character I didn't fucking hate, first
Mm-hmm.
of all, which I am very curious. If you read Crescent City, I'm so curious to hear your thoughts on Bryce Adelaide Quinlan because I have lots of opinions that I will keep to myself.
Mm-hmm.
But Violet, I like her as a character. I love the world building. I love the fact that it really like set up this idea of like what she thought she knew and like how much she values knowledge, but then the realization that like the knowledge that she has been learning all along is like the history books written by the victors
Yeah.
essentially. I somebody that makes my fairy bussy bark, Zayden Ryerson. My
He is.
goodness.
You are such. I can see that for you. I can really because
Uh-huh.
I don't love him like that, but I can totally see you and Zayden in a different timeline hitting it off.
He is such a Bernie bro. I just
That
feel
is
like,
precisely it.
uh-huh, yeah, which I did find one in real life too. But I just like I just find it all so timely, first of all,
Hmm.
but also just I love anything that's set at a school. I love. Like it's the same reason I read the whole like Ender's Game series, which is like 14 books, but it's like it's set in this universe of kids growing up and being trained for something that they're not even quite even aware of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
I agree. I think for me, my only thing with the series though was like I was ready to leave the school behind at a certain point
Yeah. It didn't
because
make sense for them to come back, I
yeah,
felt.
they go back so much when the school is so evil. Like it doesn't totally. I think the first two books are fantastic, and I think the
Hmm.
twist at the end of the second book with Xaden becoming Venom is
Hmm.
awesome. I think that's so cool. I that was another gagged me moment. I was like, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But Onyx
And
Storm,
when I read the first two books back to back. And then as I was finishing in like a week,
yeah,
like I was so in on the series. But then as I was like halfway through the second book, the third book came out. So I got to read them like back to back to back.
wow,
And then when I finished the third one, I was like, oh my God, you guys had to wait for the third. Like, I don't want to
yeah.
wait.
Because I read Iron Flame like pretty much right when it came out, so I real time had to wait like over a year to figure out what happened there.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, yeah, I think in Onyx Storm, my issue with Onyx Storm, right, was that like they kept coming back, to this school that was a part of a world that like didn't want them anymore. I didn't under, especially when they created their own new school, that it's like, why not just go back there and be like, I didn't understand the stakes of needing to be back besides just
Yeah.
putting the wards back up, I guess. But
Yeah, I did feel like there came a point where it just didn't make sense in terms of even like the hierarchy.
mhm.
Like if you now know, if your mind has been expanded, like I understood in book 2 why they're coming back and kind of like
Yes,
pretending
agreed,
that
agreed.
everything didn't happen, whatever. But in book 3, there comes a point, and I mean, again, timely, but like there comes a point where it's like, why are we all still clocking in and paying our taxes? Like, look around. Maybe things have changed and we need to like break out of the status quo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it just felt like if your mind has been expanded this much and you now know what's actually happening, why do you still care about like detention at school? You know?
Yeah, the stakes in revert in the opposite of Throne of Glass, the stakes here are so high that some of the little stuff doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right. It's like because anybody could die at any moment, why are we still doing like reading assignments?
Yeah, why are we learning about our powers more? I'm like, yeah, I don't totally understand that. But my favorite part of Onyx Storm is when they go and on their little adventure and they
Mhm.
are trying to find the feather tails.
Yeah.
I honestly wish that that was just a whole book.
Yes, I could have literally done like half a book in each isle. Like I
Yes.
would have loved to learn more about each of the islands like culture and their value system. I thought it was so interesting how it was like each of them worship a different god and have like a different I my favorite one was the knowledge one where Violet was like, "Oh, you think you're smart? Okay. Well, choke on this, bitch."
Yeah. Oh, that's the one where that's Zayden's mom is there, right?
Yes. Oh, that
Yes.
bitch.
That little cunt.
Literally. God.
I love, and I loved the one, the like panther one where it was like a bunch of cats running around everywhere. I thought that was really
Mhm.
cool. I just thought that was like, oh, this is so creative. Like this is such a cool way to expand the world, because that's something in ACOTAR that is kind of confusing to me, and maybe it'll explain later. The world feels so small, which feels
Mhm.
comforting from a reader's perspective, but then you also are like, wait, how big is the world though? Like there has to be other problems like in this like universe. And Throne of Glass
Yeah.
deals a lot with timelines because it ends up being like a multiverse of madness essentially.
Mhm.
Um, which is kind of annoying, but I do think it's kind of a cool reveal. But I in Onyx in the Empyrean series, like that world feels so little. So it was so cool to know that there were other places that like are on this earth or planet that they live on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just makes it feel like this we are able to explore more if she will take us there because it's like, "Oh, you thought the world was like this, but actually that's like in our own making that we've put up these wards and like confined ourselves, but actually
Yeah.
outside there's this whole other universe."
Something I think about a lot too is that when people read these books that do not agree with you and I politically,
I
do
don't
you
understand
ever
it.
think they think to themselves like the meme from Euphoria where they're like, is this play about us? Like,
No, I think that they think they're the good
I
guys.
think they do too. It's but like guys like y'all, I don't know if you'll ever get to this, but like what in God's name, like you are the villain. You are the fascist villain.
No, I think that they're like, "Oh, we got an outsider coming to drain the swamp. We're storming the Capitol." I think that they think that they're the good guys.
Crazy to me.
Because so Donnie and I, when does this come out?
It'll come out tomorrow.
Okay. So today no. So next Friday, we did a recap of the newest Hunger Games book.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was just looking on Reddit after I was done, as one does after I was done reading. And there are so many people that are like, why did she have to make it political? And I'm like, this is the
The
Hunger
whole
Games.
series
The
is so
whole
political.
series is literally about keeping down the different districts by murdering their children. Like, what did you think the first 3 books were about?
People are so dumb. People are so dumb. And these are people that read books.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they don't clock. I mean, honestly, all of these books we're talking about today have a big overlying plot line of like fascism. It's kind of in
Mhm.
all of them.
Yeah.
Like silence, like ACOTAR is literally all about like actually kind of all of them, right? They're all kind of about knowledge is power and like how they don't want people knowing too much. Like there's so much about these
Mhm.
worlds that like when Violet learns about more about her father's like research and about like how what the real purpose of the wards are, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, they lie to us, and like they're all kind of about that, and it's like I
Right.
don't know,
It's literally like build the wall.
literally. I mean, there it literally Akatar is about a wall being built.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think about it often when I read these. Like, wow, y'all, we can't be just liberals reading these books.
No, but I also don't know if I don't know. I think that not everyone is applying messages to real life. Like I think a lot of people just read to read, which is lovely, but I think that a lot of people are like, "Oh, what a great little fantasy story I read," and not like
That's a good point though.
applying
I didn't
it
think about that,
to,
but I
you
think
know what I
that's the
mean? It's
issue.
like, well, yeah, that's definitely the issue.
In general with them, like with politics in general, right? Like I think it's like they live in these little insular worlds where they can't connect how things would affect them or like how real things can be. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's an idea of like, oh, well, there's witches in this book and there aren't witches in real life. So it's the same as like what's going on in this book isn't real life. That's
Yeah.
fantasy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, we want to do a quick little fantasy league. Okay. So what we're gonna
Oh,
do?
wait, can I tell you some of my
Oh
predictions
yes,
for
yes, yes. Go
Fourth
ahead. Go
Wing?
ahead. Sorry, I want to be conscious of your time.
No, no. So a couple of Fourth Wing theories that I have that I'm just gonna say out loud to see if I'm right, because God knows if I'll even remember my theories by the time the next book comes out. I think that Tarn, the Big
Yeah.
Daddy dragon, I think his previous rider is Venin, and that's how he saved Brennan. Like I think he channeled,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why Tarn won't talk about him and why he doesn't like trust Xaden because he's like seen the full transformation
The full
before.
fantasy.
And then I think that Brennan, her brother, is going to turn
Yeah, I
because I
agree.
think I think that the original writer was his one true love. And you know how they always talk about like there being a balance?
Mm-hmm.
I think Violet's not going to turn for her true love, but Brennan will. And then I think that Andarna takes magic from the sky. Like so where all the dragons are there all the like venom and stuff are channeling down. I think the reason why Violet could do magic in the Isles is cuz Andarna like takes her power from the
Oh,
sky. And I
interesting.
think that's why the Venom want Violet so bad because if they have her, they'll be able to channel from the sky and from the earth.
Oh, I
Those are my
love that. I did not think about that.
Those are my predictions. Oh, and I think that Dane has another signet because that Sloan person said something like, "You shouldn't have this much power," which I think meant
Yes.
like,
I think that there was a little sign there at the end that he may
yeah,
have something else. I was one last thing about Onyx Storm that I have to tell you as a lol. When I read these books, I make up names like in my head for what their
uh
names are.
huh,
Like I called Kale Carol forever because
uh
I just
huh,
like didn't want to say Kale in my brain.
uh huh,
The villain in Onyx Storm, her name is Theophany. And in my
uh huh.
head, every time I read it, I just said Stephanie with a lisp.
Stephanie,
Stephanie.
I love that.
Can't you imagine? I told Brian that because he's still reading Onyx Storm. Like every time she shows up, just being like, "Hey, it's Stephanie."
It's the same as like the girls that study abroad and they're like, "I went to Barcelona,"
Yeah, it is precisely
but
that.
exact
It's
same
Stephanie went to
energy.
Spain and came back as Stephanie.
I love that.
Okay, so we're gonna do a fantasy league. Now, the rules of fantasy league: once a character is chosen, you cannot choose that character. The other person cannot. Okay. Now
Okay.
you are the guest here, so I'll let you go first. We're going to pull 3 characters from each series.
Okay.
Each, so that's 9, and this team of 9 will battle it out in the final battle to save the world, and we'll let the listeners decide whose team would win that battle. So
Okay.
let's start with Akhtar, and I'll
Okay.
let you go first.
Okay. I am going to choose. I'm going to choose Reese Sand.
Okay, that's a solid choice. Okay, my first pick from Akhtar is going to be she's annoying but Feyre. She really is cunty. You got to kind of get to it.
She was on my list, and I literally, you have to think about chemistry, team chemistry when you're making a team, and I
That's true.
think she would bring down morale. I
Well,
would,
no
I
need to
would.
talk shit about my team. We just started
Well,
it.
okay, okay. I'm now going to pick Amryn.
God damn it, that was a good one. Okay. I'm going to go with Azriel. Azriel.
That was going to be my next one. Again, talking about team morale, Cassian, so I can have a nice little hump in between sessions.
Now, this is gonna be I feel like this is gonna be a mess, but I seem to be leaning into the chaos group. So I'm gonna throw Jurian in my crew just because we need someone a little evil.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Curious.
We're Throne of Glass.
Okay. Lysandra.
Fuck.
Don't do it.
Manon. I know you want it. You want her.
I know. I shouldn't have given my hand. Okay. For the same reason I don't want to take Feyre, I don't want to take Aelin, but you got to take Aelin. Well, is it the end of the book Aelin or like full power Aelin?
When she's at her peak, I would say.
Okay, her. She can just like burn shit.
Blow shit up, yeah. I am going to throw in wait, why are he's not on here, but I'm gonna pick Maeve because we're going evil in some way. If you're gonna have Aelin,
I love that
Maeve.
well, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna fight evil, sometimes you need it to be.
Imagine picking the king of Adarlan.
I'm gonna pick Dorian for my third.
Yeah, Dorian is good. Lastly, I want to pick. He's not on here, but Fenris isn't on this list. But I loved Fenris a lot. Rowan's little buddy.
Yeah.
I don't want Rowan because Rowan is just. Rowan's annoying.
No, Rowan's the type of he's the roommate that has a bad day at work and comes home and is like shutting the fridge really hard and like slamming down his coffee cup, and you're like, "Did you have a bad day?"
And Fenris can turn into a wolf. That
Yeah.
I feel like that would be helpful. So yeah. Okay, and then lastly we have at the bottom of our list we have the Fourth Wing crew.
Okay. Xaden.
You know who is she on here? She's not on here, but what's her face? Her bestie who reads. The scribe.
The scribe.
What's her name?
Shit.
Oh god, it's on the tip of my tongue. Well, I'm gonna take her. We need someone who can read because God knows Maeve can't read.
Yeah.
She's a demon.
I'm going to go with Violet.
Okay, and then I'm going to go with. Well, you did pick Xaden, right?
I picked Xaden. Yeah.
So you have Xaden and Violet. Damn.
Which might be a bad thing, honestly. They're just gonna be fucking.
They're just gonna be fucking the whole time. Yeah. Imogen, love Imogen.
Oh, that's a good one. I think I'm gonna go with her best friend, Rhee.
Yeah,
Rhee's for my last one because she's a good team captain.
Yes. And then lastly, for me, I'm going to go with. She's dead though.
Jack Barlow, perhaps.
I was gonna add Stephanie.
Love it.
Well, if you're going with Aelin's peak power, I'll pick someone who's dead. Stephanie.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. So these are our crew. I'll type them out and put them in an Instagram post so you guys can choose where your alliance would lead here. But mine's a little evil. Chelsea's is a little good. Chelsea's people might be fucking while mine are actually doing things. Who knows?
Yeah, mine are gonna be because one thing about any of these characters in any of these series, if it's a life or death situation, they're gonna fuck first.
Okay, I want to finish on that because that is something that bothered me so much in Kingdom of Ash, when they are literally en route to the battle that will save or end the world, and Lorcan and Alid, who just survived, who
Mhm.
should have been dead, decide
Mhm.
to learn how. Lorcan decides to teach her how to fuck, and I'm like, y'all, this is not the time.
But one would argue, if this isn't the time, then when? If the world's gonna end, baby girl deserves an orgasm.
I guess you're right. You always know how to word it so I sound like a bad person for
No,
hating
you're not a
women.
bad person. And I felt the same way. Mine was less so about like heading into battle. My ick came from like they just saw like all their like they would just see all their friends die. It was a horrible like grotesque battle scene. You know they smell like shit. They've got blood on them and
Oh
they're
god, they
like
have to reek.
you've never yeah, and then they're like let's just get it in real quick. It's like ew. I'm traumatized. Get off me.
Yeah, it's gross. Oh, and her
But
name is Jasenia. That's who the
yes. Okay.
scribe is.
Thank you. That
Well,
was gonna
Chelsea,
drive
this
me
was so fun.
crazy.
I feel like we need to do this again when there's a couple series that I'm on the docket that I want to read next, and maybe we can both read them and do another
Yes,
romantasy.
please.
What,
I'm
what's your
so
what's your
pleased
next
that
one that you want to read?
so I'm right now reading let me pull up my Audible. Because one thing about me is I never know the title of the book. I just
Okay,
make them
a
up.
friend of mine is the same way. I'm like, what are you reading? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, how do you not know?
I'm reading From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Armentrout. That's the series I'm on right now. And there's apparently like 7 books and a prequel series too. So
Yes, this is on my list. I also have on my list, it's called the Book of Azrael. Have you heard of that?
mm-mm.
Yeah, that one a friend of mine suggested as a good one. If you guys have
Okay.
any book recs, we would love to hear it. As the world comes.
I do want you to read Crescent
Oh
City.
yes, I'll
Now
do Crescent
I
City.
will tell you the rumor about Crescent City is that Sarah Mass had written a whole series and then was at the last minute she'd gotten the book deal, everything. The last minute she decided she hated it and scrapped it and wrote one of the books in like a week. So if you thought her other books needed a thesaurus or perhaps an editor, Crescent City, my word.
Is it good?
It is. It's weird because it's present day. So there's like cell phones and
What? I
technology.
I don't know about
Yes.
this. I don't know about
And
this.
Bryce Adelaide Quinlan is like a party girl.
Wait, what?
It's worth the read if not for content. Like read the first and I will also say she really drops you in the deep end. Like the first chapter, no explanation of the world. You really have to like sink or swim, figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good middle ground between ACOTAR and Throne of Glass. Like there's elements of both
Okay.
in that one.
Because I really haven't got. I guess I did. You at the end of Throne of Glass, you do get a teaser to how the worlds are connected, but like
Yeah,
there hasn't really been a solid connector.
there will. In Crescent City, there is a TGIF crossover event.
Shut the fuck up.
Hmm. And I need you to read the series just for that.
I don't know.
Because the reveal, I literally groaned at the way this character popped out of nowhere.
Like busted through a wall like the Kool-Aid man.
All right.
Well, Chelsea, this is so fun. Thank you guys for listening. If you have book recs, please let Chelsea and I know. We would love to do this again. Chelsea, let everyone know where they can listen to you, follow you, and all that stuff.
Sure. So you can follow me at OnoChels on Instagram. And then if you want to listen to more of my chaos, I am the co-host of I Am the Cute One. We drop old movie recaps on Mondays and then pop culture TGIF pop culture roundups on Fridays.
Yes. And then a reminder, Dumpster Dive Pod, follow me at the Tom Hamlet. And we do YouTube lives now mostly every Thursday at 7 p.m., depending on my schedule. But chatting about Summer House and maybe some other stuff down the line. So come by there, subscribe. And if you want the video version of this podcast, also, you can go check it out on YouTube. And we will see y'all next time. Say bye to everyone, Chelsea. Bye.
Bye.